Mr. Birman, USAID has a long and positive history of strategic assistance in Macedonia. Now with the global crisis, this assistance has even greater value. In light of the global pandemic, how is the United States helping the government of Macedonia to cope with the risks?
Well, Dobro вечер, Slavica, and thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you today. I was in North Macedonia last spring, and of course at Lake Ohrid. We had a conference for young leaders, and I've always enjoyed my visits to North Macedonia, specifically Lake Ohrid. I certainly could use some time at Lake Ohrid right now. And as soon as the travel ban is restricted or lifted, I'm hopeful to get back to North Macedonia soon. But before I speak about North Macedonia, I would like to address the global response to the pandemic. Since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, the United States government has committed more than $1 billion in assistance specifically aimed at fighting the pandemic across the world. This funding will save lives by providing state-of-the-art ventilators, improving public health education, protecting healthcare workers, strengthening laboratory systems, supporting disease surveillance, and boosting rapid response capacity in more than 120 countries. USAID is committed over $91 million in emergency health assistance to Europe and Eurasia, including over $9 million to the Balkans. Now, turning to North Macedonia, during the public health emergency, it is more important than ever to reaffirm the steadfast partnership and long friendship that we have with North Macedonia. We are supporting North Macedonia's response to COVID-19 by committing $1.1 million in emergency health assistance to support infection prevention, case identification, and public health messaging. Now, let me, for a minute, Slavica, highlight what we're accomplishing through one of our grants, through UNICEF. In partnership with UNICEF, we are ensuring that Macedonians have access to accurate information about how they can help stop the spread. In addition, with UNICEF, we're providing tailored guidance for parents and caregivers. We're also distributing hygiene kits and other critical supplies to isolation centers, at-risk households, and other vulnerable populations, including Roma and other minority communities. And UNICEF is also ensuring that good water, sanitation, hygiene practices are in place in healthcare facilities throughout the country. And finally, our funding is also helping to analyze how the virus is spreading and how we can improve the overall COVID-19 emergency response. Now, in addition to our support for UNICEF, USAID is helping the Clinic for Infectious Diseases and Febrile Conditions in Skopje to establish a new professional meeting center for frontline workers. USAID is procuring essential IT equipment and providing training to help hospitals across the country better coordinate on COVID-19 treatments. This includes our support to the new new Intelligence and Emergency Operating Center, better known as the EOC, and the establishment of the EOC expands on the country's capacity to respond promptly and effectively to the public health risks and emergencies. And now let me also talk about another grant, finally, the $330,000 grant to the North Macedonia Red Cross. With USAID's support, Red Cross is providing food and hygiene and trauma counseling to thousands of North Macedonians households around the country. And of course, USAID is also quickly adapting existing programming, and you should know that we're going to meet the needs at the current moment. And for example, I just give you a couple examples. We are partnering with the government of North Macedonia so that it can continue to provide essential public services during this pandemic. For example, we have provided software to the Ministry of Administration to upgrade the system so that it can work remotely. We are also assisting the Ministry of Education to ensure schools and students continue their education through distance learning. USAID is equally focused on helping North Macedonia prepare for the economic recovery that will come after this pandemic passes. For example, we are analyzing the impact of the pandemic on 6 different industries, including automotive and light manufacturing, tourism and hospitality, agriculture and food processing, construction, textiles and leathers, and the tech sector. Using the information that we obtain, we can tailor our assistance to respond to the needs on the ground. And we are actively promoting electronic commerce or e-commerce throughout the country. The Macedonian E-Commerce Association, with USAID's support, has announced a public call to support the opening of 40 new e-shops, and that's going to help the economy as we move past the pandemic. And finally, it remains critically important to ensure that the government spending is accountable and transparent for all Macedonians. In response to COVID-19, the International Republican Institute, with support from USAID, is working with the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Communication, Transparency and Accountability to report all public spending related to COVID-19. Additionally, IRI is facilitating the creation of a single donation site for private contributions to COVID-19 response funds that were established by the government, and all donations in and out of those funds will be available to the public.
What would post-pandemic stage look like for the USAID? What impact this crisis will have on USAID's work globally?
Well, our approach relies on strong partnerships, and especially during crises like the COVID-19. And we're going to be working with private companies and civil society organizations to respond not just now, but after the COVID-19 pandemic. As I mentioned earlier, we're analyzing the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on business sector of North Macedonia, and we are partnering with the Chamber of Commerce to collect as much timely information as possible. That will help us deal with the post-pandemic issues. We're also going to be working with local microfinance partners to increase access to finance, and we're also going to work with micro enterprises and micro entrepreneurs to help them better help them better in the economic post COVID-19 response. In addition, we're also supporting a local NGO, the Health Education Research and Association, or HERA, to help Roma women earn an income while empowering them to give back to their communities. They will be able to purchase and deliver food, personal hygiene, and household equipment, and medications to vulnerable groups, and that will help post-pandemic as well as during the pandemic. And we will also continue to partner with independent media so that they can report accurately and timely on information for the public on the pandemic, including those in the ethnic minority languages and the ethnic communities.
Mr. Birman, our nation depends also on the stability and prosperity of the wider region. How are you assisting Europe and Eurasia to achieve greater self-reliance, including assisting countries in the Balkans to recover from the pandemic?
That's a great question. First of all, USAID's support to North Macedonia to respond to the pandemic is emblematic of the United States government's support for countries around the world. For decades, the United States has been the world's largest provider of bilateral assistance in health. And since 2009, the American taxpayers have generously funded more than $100 billion in health assistance and nearly $30 billion in humanitarian assistance. But in truth, Slavica, all of our work, from strengthening democratic institutions and supporting civil society groups to improving energy security and fostering entrepreneurship, has laid a strong foundation for the countries of Europe and Eurasia to be able to handle this pandemic. Everything that we have done to help them has helped them prepare for this moment. And as I mentioned before, USAID has committed over $91 million in emergency health assistance to Europe and Eurasia, including over $9 million to the Balkans already. I want to emphasize that USAID delivers more than just funds. We deliver expert technical assistance, training capacity, building health systems, and life-saving diagnostics and treatment. And, I think it's worth mentioning that while malign actors offer assistance with strings attached, USAID believes in a true partnership. And whether you're responding to today's public health emergency or helping our partners achieve their long-term development goals, we empower our partners to solve their own challenges. I think it's important that we help North Macedonia along its journey to self-reliance. And Slavica, I just want to take an opportunity to thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today and to the people of North Macedonia.
Thank you very much for this interview, Mr. Birman.
Thank you.